Yeah, ain't gonna hurt nobody. All right, welcome to the Sci-Fi Express Lane pre-dawn taping. Oh my God, the time change be catching me on this ride to work. Anyway, the clouds are beautiful. I wish y'all could see them. I'm going to be talking on this October day, Wednesday the 13th, I think it is. No, it's Wednesday the 12th, Thursday the 13th. Anyway, we're going to be talking about, or I'm going to talk about, what happened to horror movies, yo? What happened? Where are they now? What's going on? All I make is horror movies, or movies meant to scare people. Are we not scareable anymore? What happened to horror movies? Oh my God. I've been promoting my Kickstarter. I think it's my 6th or 7th Kickstarter, and it features 2 horror characters, right? The Headless Horseman and the Leprechaun. And I kind of twisted on my Leprechaun and Headless Horseman, and not really a cultural appropriation. Black people don't get that when we make white characters black, and really, if you do it right, you ain't gonna get no backlash anyway. Meaning you have a really good origin story or retelling story, it works. So it got me to thinking, and support the Kickstarter. I got about 8 days left. Got some big advertisers, so it's gonna make us go. But anyway, the conversation erupted, like, where are the horror movies? And I know Smile is out, and I know they got Don't Play with the Devil. Pray for the Devil, and that looks really good. I'm watching Midnight Club, which was appropriately released in the month of October. So you don't have an absence of horror, right? In Halloween, Halloween is on its 20th episode or film, and it doesn't really seem like it's going to die. On TV we have Chucky, the Chucky series that's running. Zombies are all around us. Great zombie stories that are coming out. We got a good werewolves movie that's coming out. So I don't know. I think if anything, we've got high and low horror, and horror is doing well. We have blockbusters like the Nun movie. We have Annabelle series, the Conjuring series, which, in my opinion, changed horror, and horror became impacted by special effects real hard, and that I guess phased horror a little bit, but in reality horror survived that, and horror is still around. One of the big series is the Dahmer joint, was with Jeffrey Dahmer, and the Dahmer joint is a documentary horror, right? Or it's a bio horror, a biography horror, mini doc, or whatever the heck. It's a retelling story of a real person who was a horrific person. And so we got even that type of horror is going on. Horror is impregnable. Horror has probably the biggest circle of support. Some of the biggest conventions are around it. Horror is under the speculative fiction umbrella. It's a sci-fi umbrella. So, but it's bigger than it's bigger than any of the subgenres in science fiction. Probably bigger than them all together. My first book to get published was It Happened on Negro Mountain, which is a horror. My first book that I wrote, Thug Angel, Rebirth of a Gargoyle, is a gargoyle that hunts werewolves and vampires. And that got a publishing deal. So horror has been very successful for me. All of my more science fiction stories have actually had to be self-published. Some by design, but I did submit some of them around. We had a big vampire anthology last year called Slay, and that did very well, and was one of the first of its kind. I've been pushing black sci-fi community to publish, to do anthologies, outside. I don't think we've done a paranormal one. I think we need to do that. But we've got a space one coming up. We've done secret agents and vampires, but we really haven't done a straight horror run. Horror is beautiful. I remember watching Midnight Club, and we got the TV series Interview of a Vampire, and it went so real that I actually questioned my morality. Not my morality, my morals, right? And in that story, they play with killing people, and the vampire is very lackluster, about human life and life in general. Although he's immortal, and he values that, he don't really care about anybody else, and he takes joy in killing people more than just he has to do it to survive. Now, mind you, all of these vampires have killed people to survive, no doubt. But the ones that did it were perceived as monsters. And with Interview with a Vampire, it's making you question. It's trying to get you to like the character. It's trying to get you to like the killer. And wow, that's different, right? I don't know how I feel about that. I know that death is really just a transformation of life, and I've learned to accept that, having lost both of my parents, and going through the COVID years where you lose significant others. I'm like, I have survival remorse. I have all types of things going on, but I still don't feel comfortable with death. Somebody killing, right? Killing still seems bad, no matter what. And I can't root for a killer. I don't care how necessary or easy it is, or if they gotta live off other people's death. I don't like it. I like what do you call it? And there's this other one. Marvel even went horror, appropriately released during October. Werewolf by Night, and I enjoyed Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night is very much like what I imagine my werewolf to be, but we don't know. It's still the first episode, and I think I even read a couple of the Werewolf by Night comics. However, it was into his character, and he was just being a superhero. But from what I know of what I've seen, he does struggle with killing people and being a killing machine. He's very aware of what he is doing, and I think the werewolf in itself, going back to the Lon Chaney days, and I don't think he ever played the werewolf, but going back to the black and white, werewolf, the werewolf made his debut on the screen and all that. He's always had trouble, right, with it. And I also think the werewolf duality between him and his human self is what inspired the Incredible Hulk, along with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But even in the movie The Werewolf, right, a Wolf Man with Antonio Banderas. No, not Antonio Banderas. I don't know. I forgot his name, but the dude from Sicario, right, played him, he was still a monster. There was two monsters. They didn't like what they did. They didn't like what they became. And I don't know, maybe a serial killer that becomes a werewolf or vampire, that might be different. And maybe that story has already been told, but doesn't really look like too much of a transformation. It looks more like a graduation. I have a story called The Screaming, and in the story, the street gang gets infected by werewolves, and they're already killers, so it just empowers them. So I don't know too many other stories like that. That's a really good setup, and I wrote a screenplay for it, and I added on to the story. Still nothing happened, but I may just write a sequel. I don't know where to go to get these stories out. I have a story backlog. Anyway, back to horror. I'm watching Midnight Club. At Midnight Club, I'm on like the 6th episode, and oh man, the skyline is beautiful. I wish I could show it to you. Let me see if I can switch this camera. Wow, can y'all see that? That's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at the camera. Anyway, let me go. Florida's just in the mornings and during the day, right? Where Midnight Club is a group of young people that you like. I love all of them, and they all have months to live. You know, if they make a year, they're surprised, and it's a miracle. And they live in a hospice that not really going to tell it, but you know, it has a spiritual element to it, supernatural element to it, and it's very scary in its sense that, you know, they play real good tropes. You know, they do the special effects, scary stuff, and they do a mix of some of the old camera work, scary stuff, and of course the kids are screaming, so that's beautiful. So you got all of the, you know, they're firing on all cylinders. However, the underlining thing is, you know, they're all gonna die, or, you know, they've all been diagnosed with terminal diseases, and they have different approaches to mortality. You know, it sounds very morbid, but the cast is very uplifting, and they're not morbid. And if you've ever been to a hospice, or you've met somebody in or Make-A-Wish Foundation type young person, or person in general that has been diagnosed with something that they're going to not survive, like lupus is one of those where any day, you know, they may not make it. You know, sometimes they're very positive. They're, strangely enough, they have a different approach on life, and it's, you know, not to say, oh, go out and meet somebody like that, but if you do, you know, it's almost like Tuesdays with Maury, right? You talk to these people, and they make you think different things, specifically about life, and that's interesting. It's not like how in the TV show, it's not like Flatliners, where they're playing and they're not scared to death and they're going in and out. It's definitely not like that. They're not necessarily scared of death, but they take life, value life in a different way, and it's really cool. And that's a different one, different type of show. What else am I gonna say? I think overall horror is withstood its transformation. I remember when I watched in 2004 one of my favorite horror pictures, Dawn of the Dead, and they had just remade it with Vin Rames, the slimmer Vin Rames, the fit Vin Rames, and they introduced the running zombies. I was like, oh my God, what a game changer. And kind of that was like the last of the old special effects zombies and horror. Everything kind of after that became special effects. Then you have super zombies like in World War Z and I Am Legend with Will Smith. It's like ridiculous, running fast, flipping zombies. You have like Don't Leave on the Light or whatever, special effects ghosts. I remember when I saw Mama. It didn't scare me at all. A special effect, dark shadow on the ground. However, what was that movie with the Tooth Fairy? Into the Darkness or some joint, and the Tooth Fairy was savage. She was gangster. That scared me, you know. But you know, it was very hard for special effects to do it. You know, The Nun and The Conjuring, they do it pretty good. There's a graduation from Paranormal Activity. But you know, if you look at Poltergeist, that joint still works. And before the Poltergeist, The Exorcist still works. So I don't know, but I'm gonna go because I didn't really want to. I wanted to get into like some of the common tropes of Christianity, and maybe I'll get into that on my next one, talking about religion and horror. Where is religion and horror? Is it gone? What's going on? All right. So thank you. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. This is Jeff Carroll. Overtime on the Sci-Fi Express.